morning. Oh, wonderful to see you all. Isn't this, how many of you, is this the first time you've been to this space? Okay. Spectacular, wouldn't you say? Yes, it's beautiful. In fact, I'm going to try really hard to pay attention to our experts and illustrious guests and not look out the window, but this is just wonderful, wonderful space to highlight such a fantastic operation. So I do want to welcome you all. I'm Kim Hansen, president of the Bloomington Chamber of Commerce, and I am mic'd up. You can hear me okay, correct? Yes. Okay, yeah, the acoustics are really good in here. I am mic'd up for Tim Sass here, who is recording us for the city of Bloomington. So thank you to Bonnie Carlson for hosting us here, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, having us here, and also as our sponsor for the March Conversation with Kim, Destination Bloomington, which is interesting that we're calling this talk Destination Bloomington. It is their former name of the organization. And we talked about that a little bit. And so I think what's really important is you're going to hear about all the work that goes on here in these walls and throughout the mall to keep this area as robust and thriving as it truly is. This is a world-class hospitality industry, and I'm so excited that we have this chance to have the conversation. So the Bloomington Chamber, we're really on a roll right now, and it's pretty exciting. Not only is it right after the big game, but we have an uptick in membership each month. We're bringing in some new folks, so you're going to see a lot of new faces. In fact, I know Chad is here from Northwestern Health Sciences, Northwestern University. I'm close. And we met recently, and then he just like, how can I get more involved? So I said, come to these kinds of things and start to have the conversations with your fellow members. So these are things that we want to continue to do for all of you. And Conversations with Kim, this monthly membership engagement, is a great opportunity to do so. So I am going to go ahead and introduce our panel today. And I am going to start with Bonnie Carlson. Now, many of you know Bonnie, but there's some highlights I picked out of her bio. She's been here with this organization for 33 years. And I can't wait to hear a little bit more about all the things that they've been through, where they've been, and especially where we're going as a Bloomington area. And so she impressively has been in the travel industry for over 38 years. And she uses her expertise here locally, nationally, and internationally to make sure that this area is seen and recognized as a very viable and desirable area for people to come in for conventions of all sizes. So she is a member of the Minnesota Lodging Association Board. She served on the Explore Minnesota Tourism Council after being appointed by the governor in 2004. That was pretty impressive. Her bio was very long, and for y'all, I went ahead and picked a couple of things because she has been showered with so many awards in her field, but this one stands out as a huge achievement that she has been inducted into the Minnesota Meetings and Events Hall of Fame and honored with their Lifetime Achievement Award in 2015. So thank you so much, Bonnie, for partnering with us this morning. Also impressive was looking at Jill Renslow's bio. And I mentioned to my coworker the other day, as I'm putting these together, I said, oh my gosh, these women have done such tremendous things. I kind of felt like I may have been in a cave for the last 30 years. But honestly, it's wonderful to partner with you all. Jill Renslow here, Senior Vice President of Marketing and Business Development with the Mall of America. And she oversees, get this, she oversees all of the mall communications, marketing, strategic alliances and partnerships, advertising, digital media, group sales, and theme park marketing. Girl. Nice job. That's great. She brings over 20 years of experience and has held other roles at the mall, including managing the $25 million rebranding of the Nickelodeon universe. I think we all lived through that. Any of you have children that went through the Camp Snoopy days, it took me a long time to say I can't even say it now, Nickelodeon universe, but it is a fantastic theme park. So excellent. Also, with many awards in Jill's belt, she has been Minnesota Business Magazine's Real Power 50, Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Journal People to Watch, and 40 Under 40, and has been a member of the board for the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce, and also was on the Super Bowl Host Advisory Committee. So with that, I know we had also invited Jim Saccoman, who is the board chair of Bonnie's Convention and Visitors Bureau Board, and currently the general manager at the Embassy Suites just around the corner, but I think he had something that came up this morning and may not be able to join us. We're in good hands to talk about this industry with Jill and Bonnie, so I'm going to go ahead and let Bonnie start out with just a brief slide presentation, and we'll start the conversation.
That's great. And actually, Jim Saccoman, he's been a long time member of this hospitality community, and he's at the other Embassy Suites. We're lucky to have several.
I pointed to the wrong
Yep,
one.
that's okay. It's directional. But anyway, welcome. Welcome to our new home. We still call it our new home. We moved into this office building last August already, and we were really excited about it. It seemed like a natural thing to do. And when we're finished here, I would love to give you a tour. It does go back a little bit. And if you noticed, we have a balcony, kind of full of snow, but so it's really gives us a great visual for what I'm about to tell you. Also, thank you for the nice introduction. It sounds, whenever you start talking about years of being here, kind of feeling like I just was a child. I just want you all to know that. So no worries. But yeah, in Destination Bloomington, it's interesting. The Bloomington Convention and Visitors Bureau really is a nonprofit independent corporation. And there was a big trend that is now with calling, most cities have one, and they often call it visit something, visit Tucson, or, visit the Valley of the Sun or whatever. Years ago, we were ahead of the curve. I'd like to say we knew that, but we didn't. But Destination Bloomington, and then we kind of switched it back. And we've even tossed around going back to it. So a lot of people say it, and it kind of makes sense, but that's the difference in the name. What I thought I would do is just give you a few slides on kind of who we are and what we do. Not everyone knows what a Convention and Visitors Bureau does. It's kind of a long name. It sounds kind of bureaucratic, right? But this is kind of who we are. We're the official marketing organization for the city of Bloomington, the destination. And we promote all the hotels and everything that's here for visitors. And our primary goal is to get people to sleep in this area. They come from all over the world. We want them to stay in Bloomington, stay in our hotels, and experience this great city. So this is our formal mission, and I think you can read it. The hospitality industry in Bloomington is the largest industry, so we have a big stake in it to keep it healthy and vibrant, and really to market it to the world, to say this is the place that you will want to stay for whatever reason you're doing in the metro area. We also have a big vision. We do want to be recognized as a leader in tourism. I have an amazing team, and I'm happy to say that we have been recognized in many occasions, and I have to give them credit. They are the top-notch people. We do not rest on past successes. I like to say that we're aggressive. We take on new challenges, and the world is changing every day. So they're a great team, and I'm very fortunate. We also have like any good organization, a long-term strategic plan, which actually isn't very long-term. We kind of take a look at this. I think strategic plans today have to be a little bit in flux. Things are changing so quickly. But I refer to them as our 3 pillars. Certainly the future development. We want to work with the city whenever they want us to on the future development. We have some of the most valuable land left in the United States with the proximity with all the infrastructure in the metro area. So this is very important. We also want to look ahead. We are researching some capabilities of doing some sort of an event center, and that's kind of in the works. We also collaborate with Mall of America. They are our largest partner, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. New marketing opportunities, we're all about marketing. Marketing and sales, that's what we want to do. We want to spread the word about Bloomington. So you can see some other little initiatives under there. One that popped up for us was hospitality workforce. And one that you might not guess that we would be concerned about, but with the largest industry in Bloomington, this is a key initiative for us. How can we work with our college, our Normandale College. There's a shortage and will be in the future. So how can we connect the dots, assist, that type of thing. So we're studying some new and innovative ideas to maybe assist and connect people. A lot of people think of the hospitality industry as a transitional job. I'm going to school, I'm part-time, whatever. And we're here to say that it's a viable and very important career. So we want to, and there's opportunity, there's a lot of opportunity. So we kind of are working in that area. We do many things. We tried to shorten this down a little bit for you. As we look at the sales engagement, there's a full sales team that work in the meetings and the conventions side of our business, and then we have the leisure side of the business. Both are very important, complement each other in many ways, and while we don't have a big convention center, most of these hotels that you see have significant meeting space. And when you look at the average meeting today, 80% of them could fit into a smaller facility. So it's a kind of a big part of our business. Of course, we're very digital, and especially on the leisure side. Jan Krail's our Vice President of Marketing. She's back there and has been with me since day one. Really heads up this department, and a lot of things, we put it on a wheel because it just is so intertwined with everything that we do. Over the years, it'd be no surprise to you that we have a huge digital focus on marketing. It's fast, you can measure it, and it's effective. So the new challenge is how to stand out in the crowded space of our technology, and she and her department work very good on that, and I'm happy to say it works. So it's great. I mentioned the largest industry. We have huge hotel power in Bloomington. The fact of the matter is that a lot of the big events that are booked, Super Bowl and a lot of other ones, couldn't be done without the rooms in Bloomington. What's really nice about that is it complements with Minneapolis and St. Paul. We have more hotel rooms than downtown Minneapolis and downtown St. Paul. So if you get spread out in the area, I want to be clear about that. If Minneapolis says St. Louis Park or wherever, then that would change the number. But when we measure those things, it's the downtown proximity. So it would be like 7,000, I think now is the latest downtown, and about 1,500 over in St. Paul. So we are the third spoke in this wheel, and work very nicely. As you can see out the window, we can see downtown Minneapolis, and if you look to the right, you can see St. Paul. So we kind of are this big circle. Very, very unique, I should say, in many of the destinations. So we look at it as a real positive influence. We have some of the finest brands, and we have most brands. And when you're dealing with brands, it's important for the customer. We have both full service, limited service, and these are just a few of our logos. Of course, adding the 2 hotels to Mall of America has been absolutely huge and opened up some new opportunities for us. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. Oops, wrong way. I mentioned the Mall of America. You've got the head of the mall here, and they're gonna talk about it. What I want to say is what an important partner and an important part of not only Bloomington, but of the entire metro area, the region, and we get visitors from all over the world in the United States. This is a big darn deal, and it's a big draw, and it's an economic driver, and we love it. So it was a very much of a natural move for us to to move over here. We also work with them on partners. Sherry Mullery is back here. She does a lot of our partnerships. And for years, this was years and years ago, we tried to come together to do a visitor guide, and it's spectacular. It is, you can download it online, and we still publish about 125,000 copies a year that are in different border visitor centers all around Minnesota. But there's coupons and everything, and it's great. And I love that we partner together on it because it can really show the customers, it just puts it all together. And so that's a big project. We also do international marketing. We have 3 international rep firms that work with us, and one of them is in China, China Business Network. We have one in the Scandinavian countries, which should be no surprise, and one in the UK. And what this does is it allows us, it's more efficient, cost efficient. They do projects for us when we want to market internationally. And that is a key factor because we have such great air service into Minnesota. And the mall is a big draw for international travelers. And so it's a natural for Bloomington. Along the international market, there are several programs that line up under that we do, but it's proven to be very, very effective for us. We do trade shows, whatnot, and you can see in the map, Minnesota, you have to kind of orient them there before you can even talk about anything else. A lot of people don't even know where Minnesota is, but they're beginning to, and that's an important part. Some of the trends that we're seeing, of course, the destination development. This is a huge thing that we are interested in. We're always looking for more air into the airport. Anyway, the airport, we can assist them. JetBlue is starting May 3rd. That opens up a lot of new opportunities. And with the larger stadiums, state-of-the-art, we can look for other big events. And so that's something new. Bloomington Diamond Service Awards, when I talked about our hospitality industry, keeping it vibrant, 22 years ago, we started this event. It's our signature event, about 1,000 people, 15 award categories, and it awards frontline service personnel for their work in the industry. That's no management, but it's waitresses, front desk clerks, bus boys, cooks, whatever. The people that keep this industry great. It's a wonderful event. It's actually coming up March 18th. If you're interested, it's over in at the Doubletree Hotel. We will have, this is some of we also do the Food Safety Awards for the city. And so it's a heartwarming, fabulous event. We've had Senator Klobuchar has come and given a little talk to them, to our employees, and so we'll have all the finalists. The winners are kept a secret until they know on stage, and so it's a full production. It's a show, and it's Sunday, March 18th, and we do, tickets are extremely affordable if you want to come. It's a really fun event. So this leads me into some of my last slides about how did we fare over the Super Bowl. Super Bowl is just that. It's a super event. If we could have one of these, well, once a year would be great, twice a year. It's a big job. I also served on the host committee, and it's kind of a long time, 4 or 5 years, and then all of a sudden it's just crazy. And Bloomington did really well. We worked on the host committee to do a lot of prior training with our hospitality industry. Dan O'Neill is our vice president of sales. He was trained and then therefore had other meetings with our hotels, kind of safety, what to expect, etc. Here were some of the activations at Mall of America. This was a centerpiece. The mall was, you all may know that, but it really truly was. We had our JW Marriott that had the New England Patriots, and of course the Radisson Blu had the Philadelphia Eagles. And we had all the media. What more? I think we were good. We had several activations. The Bloomington Bureau, we did one, kind of a fun cutout in a booth. Cold cash, you could see this coming down from the escalator. We wanted people to register. We were giving away 52 prizes every day. We give about 4 or 5 every day. And we captured their data, and of course for remarketing for our hotel community. They had a lot of fun with it. We had tons of people. Of course, Jan and I had to get our mayor in there. He's a good sport. We usually have funny hats on him, but the gal up in the corner, she's a James Beard nominee award for a restaurant she has in Minneapolis. So she stopped by. We also took advantage of the media that was here, and Peter Greenberg is a journalist that writes about the travel industry. He's actually based in, I think, New York, isn't he based? Travels all around. And so Jan worked with him, got the show here, and he actually did it live from our conference room. He had phone-in guests and several other guests. Our mayor talked with him, Dave Mona, of course, on the right there. He had a lot to say about sports. And the gentleman on the left, if you don't remember him, that's Brian Ricks. He is the president, executive director, actually, of our Metropolitan Airports Commission. So he runs all the airports. So we were able, again, to talk about travel, the value, and I think he said Bloomington, I don't know, I lost count at about 50 times. So these are the kinds of things that we love. There were some other guests, some local media. And that's some more things about him. He was really a very nice, engaging guy. We also had hosted the media lounge here, the Mall of America did. We were a partner, and Jill's going to talk more about that. I'm not going to steal her thunder, but it was amazing. There's some other pictures. Oh, that was something we were served. We had to feed them one day. What more could you feed them than tater tot hot dish? I mean, and they loved it. They were scraping the bottle of the, I never got to taste it, but it was pretty darn good. A lot of them were writing about it, what can you say? 25 media party, Jill's going to talk about that. It was so impressive. So here's the numbers. Super Bowl. We contracted with our Smith Travel Research. We have that. They're the recognized leader in the United States for numbers on occupancy and average daily rate. 98.6 occupancy on Saturday is a record, and the Ryder Cup was big, and that 96.7, it beat that. Average daily rate is ADR, and RevPAR is what is the revenue per room available. It's a metric in the industry, pretty much the profit margin. It's very good. It beat the last 5 Super Bowls and destinations. So big business. You can see the trend of the peak night, which was Saturday. This is the Minneapolis market. You can kind of see that. Here's the occupancy numbers, and you can see the last part from other cities. The only one we didn't beat was New Orleans, but pretty darn impressive. That's the occupancy of all the rooms that were under contract. And ADR, average daily rate. As you can see in this area, we did outpace everyone except San Jose. I think it's more of the area that they are in, and I think Indianapolis was a little bit, nope, New Orleans again. But that's a pretty good average rate, big profit margins. The RevPAR again you can see it outpaces other destinations. And here's the change. This is huge. Indianapolis, that's the one we didn't beat. Indianapolis has had the Super Bowl 2 or 3 times, and they do well. But it's not a negative, it's just information for us. So, what's next for Bloomington? Sporting events is really big business for us, and we do amateur sports as well. Certainly, I'd love a Super Bowl every year, but when you hear about hockey tournaments, basketball, these types of things, Bloomington is a place to stay. We have great hotels close to the airport. Mall of America comes into play huge here. So even when they're up at Blaine Sports Facility, they like staying here. They'd rather, do the commute. Final Four is pretty much the next biggest thing on the calendar. We are part of the committee. We do have rooms under contract. We're hopeful that we would have the media, possibly teams. So that's going to be great. We also hosted the X Games. They were downtown Minneapolis this last summer, and they're back again. And they had several executions out here in the mall, so that's great. And then shortly after the Final Four, the KMPG Women's PGA Championship will be back at Hazeltine. So you can kind of see this growing. The ladies PGA, this is the second largest purse in the PGA tournament. And the PGA, the LPGA, and KMPG, they're all different organizations, and they have this partnership. So this will be big. The TV coverage and whatnot. A little bit more on the Final Four. We're doing a sweepstake giveaway. There'll be about 4,200 room nights here, peak time, but then what will happen is all the rest of the business as well. So this is what's under contract. Hope to have a music fest out here. Anyway, this is kind of our sweepstakes. And this is a little bit more. It comes in right on the heels of the Final Four. There won't be as many hotel rooms because sadly, most people don't travel like the Ryder Cup. There's no comparison, different event. But there's some really neat opportunities for companies to be involved, especially if you want to have in front of the audience of women and whatnot, so it's huge. And that is Bloomington as a destination.
Fantastic. Bonnie, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jill, I think now would be a great time to talk about how the Mall of America partners so well with the CVB and the whole region as a whole.
Absolutely.
And if you have any fun tidbits or interesting stories from the Super Bowl, any secrets that you want to share, we'd be happy to hear.
How much time do you guys have? No, it's good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming to our beautiful office tower here at the mall. As Bonnie spoke, we work very closely together on our partnership, but we couldn't do it without the efforts and the resources from both teams. We have a dedicated tourism team that works hand in hand on a lot of the trade shows and travels the world with the Bloomington CVB to really showcase what we have in this marketplace and to work together to really bring opportunities forward. We create opportunities. We don't wait for them to come to us. And when there are elements that are throughout the metro, whether that is on the west side or if it is in Minneapolis, we always want to have a seat at the table to show what we can offer, because we have a pretty special asset here at Mall of America, and just with the hotel concentration that really makes it attractive for these events to come to Minnesota and to be hosted right here. So Super Bowl was just a great testament to what we could achieve, and thank you to everyone in this room and this entire community for making it a huge success. We couldn't have asked for a better execution of the Super Bowl. Many people worked on it for months, some for years. It became our life for quite a long time. We knew that the investment would pay off, and not sad to see the billboard disappear. That reminded us every day of how many days that countdown, and even the calendars that we had in our office that we flipped by every day. But looking back, you kind of miss it. It became our life as far as really finding that energy that the community had, and we brought each other together to really see what we could deliver was really special. And hopefully everyone in this room got a chance to come out here during Super Bowl. That 10-day celebration was something very unique, and the NFL really helped transform building and put up some beautiful graphics and signage to really embrace the celebration. And it took us some time. It wasn't easy. The NFL, had their checklist of what needed to happen when they bring a Super Bowl to town. And we challenged that in many different ways and helped them look at things differently. And in Media Row, which was our showcase piece here, Radio Row, part of Media Center, they traditionally hosted that at a convention center. And being in a stuffy area that didn't have the natural light and really the energy of the fans was something that we could bring. And they couldn't see the vision early on. They couldn't see how we were going to transform a food court into this amazing media center and epic centerpiece. And we really took over a lot of the conversation for Super Bowl. And not only for Minnesota to get on the map, but for Bloomington to be showcased and Mall of America. We had 7.8 billion media impressions that week. For 10 days. That is over double what we had all of 2017, which was a big year for us, a milestone year with our 25th anniversary. So having our name and part of the conversation was one thing, but the sentiment that went with that was something that we could never afford to invest in. I mean, they were so positive about their experience here. Even though we had mentions of, we're broadcasting live from Mall of America, or we're here in Bloomington, Minnesota. That was one piece, but for them to say on record that they loved being here and they want to come back with their friends and their family and be able to experience it again, that's where we knew we hit our goal. Because doing all of this, it was fun to be able to entertain everybody and have a great time, but for them to want to come back is where the key hook and success factor is, because we want them to come back with their families during the summer vacations and come shopping here for the holidays. And so we felt very, very happy with the success from that, and it'll come back and support us for years to come. So it was a great partnership. We were thrilled with the outcome. And not many events will bring celebrities such as Snoop Dogg and Kevin Hart and Terry Bradshaw and Stefan Diggs and Jenny McCarthy all in one place within a couple hours. It was so exciting, and the energy that our fans that were here were able to experience and to be able to have memories to last forever and to be able to capture that and share that with the world was invaluable. So thank you for your support in that effort. And I don't know if we can handle a Super Bowl every year, but we love big events, and we love disrupting the marketplace and really showing what Bloomington can deliver.
Excellent. So we've heard some fantastic things that are not only happening in the years leading up to this, some great things in the future that we're hearing about, and just the true success of that big game. Tell us about any obstacles that you hear about when you are pitching Bloomington as a destination, whether it be regionally, nationally, internationally. What are some things that you do have to overcome? Because you said it, that folks, especially outside the United States, don't necessarily know where Minnesota is, but yet you get them here. How do you overcome those obstacles?
Well, first question might be where, or it depends on where we're working. I mean, pretty much people in the United States. I think they might assume Minneapolis, and there's nothing wrong with that, because the customer probably doesn't know or care whether they're standing on this side of the freeway or the other side. But our job is to bring awareness to Bloomington, exactly where they are in our fine city. So that can be a little bit challenging because they may think it's maybe 2 hours south or north of the metro area. So the other challenge, I think, I wish it would be the Tri-Cities versus the Twin Cities. They don't even know what the Twin Cities are in some cases.
I think with the marketing power we have in this room, we can make that happen.
I know. So that might be, once you orient them, it's, oh yeah, and that has really, thankfully, from having the mall here, adding these 2 hotels, it's helped a lot, and having these signature events and people talking about it. So we just keep plugging away, and once they're here, they realize all of these hotels, you can still drive up and park for free. I mean, that is huge. We travel a lot in my job, my team does, and if you rent a car outside, whether you're leisure or whatever, I mean, you can pay valet charges and even hotel parking. So it still is huge, and the easy access from all around the metro area. And almost every hotel does shuttle service. So when you arrive on business, they may not be renting a car, can certainly get to the hotel. So it's a big plus and helps us to market the city. So
That's a great point. Any obstacles that you guys face when you're marketing to outside?
Absolutely. And as far as, trying to get over that flyover country mentality and being in the Midwest, we just keep chipping away at that. And events like the Super Bowl or bringing in new attractions or just being top of mind and keeping things fresh keeps us relevant and continues to keep us as a leader, not only within the United States, but around the world. And people are watching what we're doing. So the more that we can build that awareness, the better it helps us break down those barriers. Because most of the time when we are traveling, what's great is when you talk about Mall of America, people know what it is. We have 99% brand awareness, which is a great barrier to break into that conversation. But not even from a consumer perspective, but even when we're pitching different tenants that are coming to the market, the key is there's focus on the coast first. They really want to, on the East Coast, West Coast, and then they'll start looking at Chicago. It's like, okay, well, let's shift a little bit and look at what's the opportunity here in Minnesota. As soon as we can get them here in this marketplace, they fall in love with being here, and the cultural aspects and the pro sports and the arts and entertainment. There's so many different facets this marketplace can deliver that full package is something that's very attractive to not only our partners and tenants, but we can dovetail that into what we communicate to the consumers to drive them here. And what's great is with our international guests, we usually get the guests that are more seasoned as far as in traveling. They will hit the coast first, but when they want to come and really truly experience America, they come here, and with that no sales tax on clothing, it's a huge differentiating factor for us because shopping is the number one leisure activity for those tourists. So to be able to package that up with everything else we have to offer is very attractive, and we'll continue to chip away at some of those barriers that we have with communication. But we're optimistic on continue to move forward and keep that momentum alive.
it's kind of a life after, California, New York, and Florida, come to the heart of the country, and they love it, particularly from China and some of the Asian countries. The fact that they could get into a car and drive, our traffic problems would be easy breezy for them if we have any traffic. They can't imagine how you can have this space, so it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, great points. So, Bonnie, I know you mentioned Minneapolis and St. Paul, sort of the big elephants in the room. But how do you work with them? What are some obstacles in having the two big twin cities when you are marketing Bloomington? I think that the Super Bowl is a great example of how y'all worked together. But on a regular basis, how is that kind of being in the shadow of the Twin Cities here, even though you literally can see them both?
Right. That would be one obstacle, is that we're not included in the Minneapolis-St. Paul conversation. Although when I'm speaking to people here, I always like to say that they're our largest suburbs, so we like to kind of put them into the middle. Well, I was thinking about it. Yeah, where's Tim? Yeah, I was thinking about that. So I go, there's our largest, city that attached to us. So I think that would, it gets a little, we just need to be that it's an important, we're just not like 3 hotels. This is a significant economic part of this whole metro area in so many ways. So that would be an obstacle we keep chipping away. But positively, we work very closely with the Minneapolis marketing team. Their organization is called Meet Minneapolis, so that's a little bit different. But when they're looking at big conventions, we want to be able to work with them. As a president of this organization, Melvin Tennant's the president of Minneapolis, and Terry is in St. Paul. We all meet on a regular basis and talk about future projects. Our hotels will compete in some ways on certain pieces of business. Sure. But that's an individual. We don't do the booking for the hotels, so we want to really market the entire area. So it's positive, and I think we have all the room. So somebody said to me one time, well, gosh, we have conventions downtown, but they all want to stay in Bloomington, you know? And wow, that's great, you know? So it was kind of fun.
A good problem to have. I know.
Yeah.
I think even
Yeah.
on the national broadcast during the Super Bowl, maybe you all heard this, poor St. Paul, they were referenced as a suburb of Minneapolis, if anybody heard that. Oh boy. How about you? You know, being here and when people talk about the Mall of America, do they think it's physically located in Minneapolis, or how far away? Like Bonnie mentioned, people may think it's hours away. What kind of conversations do you have about that?
Yeah, no, there's definitely confusion sometimes of whether it's in Minneapolis or if it's in Bloomington. But the key is that, you know, we play well together. We have to. I mean, everybody gets along, and we leverage our assets collectively and are able to lure those opportunities to the marketplace. And as you saw with Super Bowl, I mean, it was the trifecta. You had to have, you know, everything happening in Minneapolis and St. Paul, but it's just natural with the connectivity with light rail and with the airport and with the hotel concentration. I mean, we're just a natural fit that we work well together. It's just elevating our brand and you know, getting credit for where we're able to kind of place that. But having the access with the hotel shuttles to and from as well, just the convenience factor of what Bloomington can offer to the marketplace is extremely valuable. And I think that Minneapolis and St. Paul, they recognize that, and we want to work well together so that we can continue to elevate the you know, the visibility of this marketplace and to lure more opportunities here. But
And the light rail was huge. I think from Bloomington to Minneapolis, that first connection, wow, was and still remains popular. And the last stop here at Mall of America and downtown, and people caught on pretty quick if they want to go to a sporting event or take a look downtown. But I mean, that to me was a good thing. So.
It was important for us to connect the experiences as well. It wasn't just us marketing what was happening at Mall of America. We were very thoughtful in making sure that we were marketing what was happening downtown Minneapolis, and especially during the 10-day celebration with live and experience being downtown, we wanted to make sure guests knew that it was easy. Just they could park here, or they could take their shuttle here, and then they could jump on light rail or grab an Uber down. It was very easy, and the connectivity was very convenient. And even working with the host committee and selling tickets to the NFL experience here on site, and just connecting those elements, we want to make sure that it's easy for guests. When it's easy and we can help do the lifting for all of our partners, we just work well together. And just have to say and go on record that we had 1.4 million people here during that 10-day celebration, and that's the collaboration of the parking lots and the ramps as far as our car counters with those, light rail transit, the hotel shuttles, as well as Uber. Downtown Minneapolis quoted 1 million people that were down there for 10 days. So just leave it at that.
That's great. Even my own personal story, when I interviewed for this job, I asked the team, tell me about how Bloomington is involved with Super Bowl planning. And Councilmember Bussey sat up really straight. He said, that Super Bowl wouldn't be happening without Bloomington. And I just really appreciated that. And as soon as I understood what he meant, leading up to this and seeing this all come together, I completely agree. So I just have one more question, and I'd like to open it up for conversation with you all. But you're building to scale for such a large event, including some additional hotels, some additional restaurants, some additional entertainment venues. You've covered this. I know you guys do a fantastic job in terms of marketing all of this and into the future with some great things. But talk about within your industry, what are you hearing? Are there any concerns about having built so much and feeling to keep that full? Do you know what I'm asking? Yeah.
Sure. Do you want me to take the hotel side?
Sure.
I think if Jim could have come today, he might, from a hotelier's perspective, he would say, don't build any more hotels, it's going to take business from one hotel to another. It's not generating new business. And, I think that if we didn't have the Mall of America and the future development, you might have that concern. But we have a great city, department, council, mayor, and they really are looking at that. And this is a very popular area. And so as long as we keep it fresh and innovative and, build things that attract people, make it easy for the business traveler to come in, do business, maybe stay a while. I think that it's a good mix. And we really didn't build extra hotels for the Super Bowl, and there's, I think, a couple of them opened. The water park reopened and so forth. So I think it's a long-term plan, it's a big vision, and so that's from the hotel perspective. But they're always going to not want any more hotels. I mean, they would want, even though they'd be full, you know, so. But it's I think we're watching those numbers. It's important to do that. And the hotel, one last thing about that, the industry is very cyclical in that there will be down times and up, and the economy. I've lived through a few of them. But by and large, most destinations don't have what we have, and that's a really big factor. So the more that we can do in the future, which... What are you guys doing lately?
Got a few things on our list.
Yeah.
No, but you make a point with, you know, the development of the hotels. A lot of that's on the radar, but what's great about events like the Super Bowl, it pushes those timelines to get things completed, to take advantage of the exposure and the opportunities that come to the market. But it's absolutely key for us to stay fresh and to stay relevant. And when you see a shift towards more entertainment and attractions, it's because the retail industry is going through a lot of transition right now. That's not a secret. You see it with what's in the news and what's happening. But what's great about our property is we have the agility and the support from our ownership group to really adjust with what's happening in the industry and constantly make a more diverse set of uses here. I mean, you see the hotels that we've added in this beautiful office tower, and we're going to continue to diversify because that's what strengthens us in the marketplace and across the world. We want to keep it fresh. We want to give people a reason to come back and visit us time and time again. If you stay stagnant, that's what your business is going to do. We want to continue to grow and prosper and be able to fill these hotel rooms and bring people to Minnesota and bring people to Bloomington. And so when you look at our mix, when we first opened, it was about a 20-80 mix of 20% entertainment, 80% retail. We're really shifting that mix to have a heavier weight towards attractions because it brings something unique to the marketplace and something that people can come of all ages, whether you come with your spouse or you come with your family and friends, something unique that you can't get online, which is a huge factor in what's changing the dynamic in the industry right now. You mentioned Nickelodeon Universe. Believe it or not, we're celebrating 10 years with Nickelodeon this month. It's our 10-year anniversary. Time flies, and what's great is we're renewing that agreement. We're excited about the partnership, and it's brought such great energy to this property, but we're constantly looking for new opportunities and partners to keep ourselves fresh and to keep Bloomington on the map.
You know, I've been a huge fan of the mall since it opened. I was at the grand opening. Anybody else here at the grand opening? Mm-hmm. Yeah, how many years ago? Yeah, 26? Yeah, it was just, you know, it was something that I never thought I'd be able to navigate. Now I come with my husband and I, we walk the mall. We're mall walkers. And it's so enjoyable. Yeah. And then, of course, we sometimes bring our purse and wallet in, and we sometimes don't, depending on how much we want to spend that day. But yeah, this is such a great conversation to hear from you both about what is being focused on right here. But let's hear from the audience. What kind of questions do you guys have this morning? John.
To the extent that you can talk about it, Jill, what is the future grand vision for the property development?
You see the beautiful land to our north and the land to the east. You know, from the very beginning, the vision of the Gramasian family was to continue to build and have a development that families from around the world could come and enjoy. And so actually the gentleman sitting directly behind you is working on a lot of those plans. Kurt Hagen leads our development with 555. And, you know, we have a lot of grand ideas for, he's like, thanks, Jill, for calling me out. No, we work collectively on a lot of great ideas. And when you look at what's happening with the success of our property and what we've had plans, we've shared them over the years of different ideas that we're looking at for the north expansion as well as the east. Many of you have saw in the news what we've got planned for the east side. We're talking with the city of Bloomington, and what's great is the city's been with us for this whole ride for the last 25 years. They were with us at the very beginning and breaking ground with this phase that we're in, and so we're excited to continue those conversations and look at what's possible. And you know, with having a great relationship with the city, it gives us some opportunities to look at of how we can move things forward faster. And we're excited about bringing expertise from some of the other properties that we work with and finding those success elements like the water park that we have great success in West Edmonton, and looking at how we could bring something similar here to Bloomington, and knowing that those mixes complement each other very well, and seeing how we can bring that here and for Minnesota and for all of our visitors to enjoy.
One of the, just to piggyback on that, when we were doing our strategic planning with our board of directors, which does have 3 city representatives on it, we were talking about future development, and I think you could pose it in a different way. With the valuable land and the resources that are always here, already here, do you, for future development, do you sit back and wait for people to come to you? That might be one piece. Or do you go and seek out interesting, fabulous projects that would complement what you already have? And I think from our perspective that the mall is doing that. These are big things that take time, you know, to develop, but the vision of the city and the leadership to, you know, go a step further and say, you know, what would happen. I mean, that's how this facility got built. The, you know, the vision of the time Mayor Lindau and the city council that was present. I mean, this was a big darn deal. So it can happen. And I love that approach to control, try to put things in place that will be good for the future. So I think that's a wonderful thing to do.
Great points, you guys. What other questions? Ken, do you have a point?
Wondering about with the water park, you proposed 225,000 square feet, I think it was, something like that. Would you have connectivity?
Absolutely.
Direct, like a skyway type
Absolutely,
thing? Oh.
yes. And as we have developed this current building, we have all those future phases in mind so that we can make sure that that connectivity and however the uses kind of complement each other will fit right in place. There's this big puzzle piece. And so, yes, absolutely, connect over the street.
What else? Another question from John.
Do you have any numbers on the increase in ridership during the Super Bowl period for the light rail?
I don't have that specifically. I know that we've had some reports that have come through, but I don't have that with me.
I was on it on the Saturday, on the Friday and the Saturday, and it was standing room only.
That's great.
Yeah, it was just fantastic. And the conversations that you would have with folks sitting next to you or standing next to you that have come from other countries, that have come from other states, Patriots fans, Eagles fans, it was just great.
On game day alone, we had 7,500 ticket holders that actually started their experience here and were able to go through their security checkpoint at the mall and then take light rail transit directly down to the stadium, and it was seamless. It was such a great experience, and they really shifted resources leading up to, because they were expecting larger numbers, but one of the things was as soon as you go through the security checkpoint and you go down the stadium, if you then go outside of that clean zone, you'd have to go through security again, and a lot of the people were going to a lot of the tailgate parties prior to the game, so if they had that plan in place, there were other kind of resources to get down there so that they didn't have to do security twice. But if you were going straight down through security, it was a fantastic, very easy experience. They did a great job.
So Metro Transit has all those numbers, and I think they haven't come out yet, or I haven't seen the specifics of in general for all week, because Jill, you're being too shy about what went on here, that what the mall did to make that media center and Media Row, Radio Row, I think is the official name of it. I always called it Media Row.
Or fan gallery.
Or
They had many
gallery,
names.
yeah, and all the fun stuff. I mean, there was a lot of ridership that came out as well, we know. So I think they would, I'll look forward to those.
Yeah. The one thing I want to point out that I didn't touch on was security.
Oh,
when you
yeah.
have a chance to see anybody from the Bloomington Police Department, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the whole gamut, I mean, and our security team, their planning was just remarkable. And to go through that 10-day event without a security incident was just amazing. And we were very fortunate to have additional resources on site from the regional and national level here, as you hopefully saw a lot of the officers in place, but just the collaboration and making sure that everybody was on the same page, and the tabletop exercises that were done prior to the 10-day event, it was unbelievable how lock and step the team was, and the respect levels of the different authorization for the different jurisdictions. It was unbelievable. And we went through so many different scenarios, assuming that with all the media here, as far as if there was anything that was going to take place, and it was just amazing to have that preparation in place, but to also go through 10 days of keeping everybody in a very safe environment so everyone could enjoy the experience. It was fantastic. So definitely, really pat those guys on the back when you get a chance to see those men and women, because they did a fantastic job.
They really did. And for our customers that were here, they loved seeing the security. It was not threatening them at all. People said, oh, it's going to be scary to see some police at the door, dogs. They were, wow, this is great. Because unfortunately, it's the world we live in. So it was executed really, really, really very, very well. And I'm a slight bit prejudiced, but I think we have the best police department in Bloomington. They are fabulous. They do an amazing job, and so we're pretty proud of them. We like them a lot, so.
They're fantastic.
Any other questions? Yes. Dick? Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First of all, thanks for hosting. Thanks for sharing. You had mentioned earlier in your presentation that this is a destination point. You want to attract people from statewide, United States, and then worldwide. Once you get them here, do you have any indication of, depending on how much time they have, where they want to explore other than right here at the Mall of America? Are they looking for wildlife? Are they looking for just a movie theater? Do they tell you where they want to go? Do you talk to your concierge? All the folks that interact with these people, and maybe that would be helpful to Bloomington, just to know, we're right on the bluff. There's lots of wildlife just to the east. Also, the Minnesota River, just to the south. But there is more Bloomington than right here. Do you get a sense of where they want to go? Where do they want to explore? What do they want to see?
Absolutely, great question. I think you all heard the question about what else is there to do, and we have that. Yes, the answer to the question is yes. We promote the wildlife refuge in one of the only national ones in the United States, one of some, and of course the river, the south of the river, and we also have some bike trails and in Minnesota in general. We find that international visitors usually have more time, and we work with even the northern community. Come here, stay a few days, and shop and see everything. And a lot of them want to go northern Minnesota or southern Minnesota and experience maybe fishing or, depending on the time of year. And then they come back and they might finish up here. So yes, it's in all of our materials, which, by the way, when you leave, please feel free. We put out some visitor guides. But a good point to do. We'd love to see the wildlife refuge develop to the point of being able to offer. There's a lot of birds that you could do bird watching, and other animals that are living in there that could be really fun. They just don't have the trail system yet, walking and so forth, as much as probably would need to be defined. But I know that they want to work on that. And Sherry from our office, raise your hand, Sherry, she actually handles our international market, and we put together itineraries, suggestions of people doing a number of other things as well. And we can customize those. We have some standard, suggested, but we believe it starts here and it should end here as well. And so, great question though. I think there's more that could be done, so great question.
I just have one more, and I realize, is the new hotel at the airport, the Intercontinental, is that going to be part of the Bloomington Gallery, or who's claiming that?
Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport is claiming that.
Okay.
That's their baby. Yeah. No, MAC, Metropolitan Airports Commission, is a hybrid of, in their funding from state funding to individual things that they must do. It's a business, it's a big business. And so this hotel will be, their revenue and whatnot it's owned and managed and so forth. They won't, I'm sure there'll be some sort of fees and whatnot, but I'm not privy to those. It's going to be, I think I had two different numbers, but I think it's about 300 rooms from where it was about 250 to 300, if I'm not mistaken. And I said, that's not even a plane load. I'm good. They can still come here to Bloomington,
I love that.
There's a lot of planes that come in and out of there. No, so, but we'll work with them however we need to. But I think my experience in traveling, those are very specific, reasons why people go there. So,
Okay.
yeah. But nope, they're being independent.
Okay, thank you. I know that came up in a meeting earlier this week that we had. So, yes, Tim, one more question?
One last quick question. Bonnie, you mentioned earlier working with Normandale. Workforce development is a big focus for the Bloomington Chamber and our board of directors and so on. So you mentioned working with Normandale. Wondering if you could talk a little bit more about that, what that entails, and also just in general, what the hospitality industry means for the workforce and employment in the city of Bloomington.
Right. So our Normandale Community College, Dr. Joyce Esther is the president. She's doing a terrific job. When she came in, she's also on our board of directors. Normandale had always offered a hospitality program, and I think it was very specific hospitality, and so I think revising that to include other areas more general, because you really don't go there to learn to be a front desk manager or to do housekeeping or whatever. So I think the naming of it and the curriculum, that was the first step, and that continues to be worked on. Because when you look at how many people are registered for hospitality, the numbers are lower. And when you look at all these other curriculum courses that feed into that, the numbers change. So sadly, and it's not a fast-growing area, but she constantly is working on doing that. So I think that's a very big step. From an earlier age, we are trying to educate people there. I know there's people at Normandale. I have spoken to several schools, trying to get people interested. So you want to go into accounting. Did you know that hotels have accounting? You could move up the chain, or IT, or things like that, management. And most of these hotels have tracks that you can get people on. So education, and that's broadening in the area. I think job fairs from our hoteliers. There's been a few hotels that have individually hosted them. I think it would be really good to do a major one, possibly here. I know the mall has done them as well. And how can we get students in to hear about it? And what does it mean? I don't think people see our industry sometimes, again, as a career, but more transitional. Like I'll waitress until I get through school or whatever, So that whole messaging is out. But I think of the 22,000 employees in the industry. I mean, that's a huge mix when you talk about numbers. So where will that pool come from? I also know that there's an initiative, and it's actually, I wish Joyce was here because it includes other communities about maybe engaging, who do you target? If people aren't having large families and if we don't have that population. So is it workers that maybe had spent time at home with their children, either male or female, and now want to return to the workplace? What's the message that we can get to them? How do we reach them and engage with them? So there's different facets. So it's changing, and that was a good thing for us. The curriculum, I think, is huge to be able to update that and keep it fresh. We do, from the Bloomington Convention and Visitors Bureau, we do a golf event every year. And any proceeds, it's not, we'd like to build more, we do some scholarships. And even that is hard to track because it's not just one thing. It's not a defined area as much as it could be. So we'll provide some scholarships. So I hope but Dr. Joyce is really straight out. So.
And Tim, thank you for that question. Our Bloomington Chamber Board, Dr. Joyce is on our board, and in March, our board members, actually Dr. Cassier from Northwestern Health Sciences U and Joyce are going to do a joint presentation for our board, and they're going to talk about workforce development at that level with the colleges and how they are reaching down and then reaching up into the employers, reaching into the high schools. And then secondly, an initiative that we hope to do with our board is we're developing a mentor program with the schools and working closely with Superintendent Les. And in fact, Anna and I are working right now on a spotlight speaker series, even for the rest of the school year, where we can take industry professionals directly from the hotels, directly from the restaurants, directly from the mall, and take them into the classrooms and talk specifically to kids that are interested in that industry. So that's something that we really want to expand on as well. Well, I know we're out of time, and we always go a little bit long, but you all are so engaging. Is there if you have other burning questions, please feel free to chat with them. I want to address the fact that today is International Women's Day, and it would have been lovely to have Jim Saccoman here joining us, but this is how lucky I feel to be sitting here with two extremely accomplished women here in their industries right here in Bloomington, and that we're able to share so much great information with all of you. So thank you to both of you. Couple of things coming up. You've got something on your table. State of the City. Boy, talk about a great event. Also coming up for Bloomington, Mayor Winstead and Jamie Verbrugge will be addressing everybody about what fabulous things have been happening in Bloomington this last year and what's on the horizon. So you won't want to miss that at the Radisson Blu right here on the other side of this facility on March 22nd. Please register for that if you haven't already. And the next conversations with Kim, we're going to be meeting and greeting with the 3 new city council members on April 12th. And that's going to be held over at City Hall in council chambers. So put that on your calendar as well. Thank you so much for continuing to support the Chamber, for continuing to support our fabulous gems here in Bloomington that really reach out and support all of your businesses as well. So have a great day, everybody.